Welcome to this beginner-friendly tutorial for Autodesk Inventor. This video will guide you through the absolute basic tools and features required to sketch, 3D model, and assembly parts in Autodesk Inventor. By the end of this video, you'll know how to create simple 3D parts and assemble them. We will go step by step and draw a basic bracket with some through holes and a chamfered corner, as we can see here. Then we'll draw a standard threaded hex key bolt. And finally, we'll create an assembly file consisting of one bracket and two bolts like this. So let's get started. Let's open Inventor software first. Once it's done loading, we can see the home screen. In the center, we have all of our recent files. They could be parts, assemblies, or drawings, etc. At the top, we have an array of options for customizing and changing various settings. And on the left, we have options to open existing files or create new ones, which is what we're going to be focusing on today. Let's start by clicking on New. Here we are presented with a selection of templates. At the top are the part templates, then the assembly templates, drawing templates, and so on. It's important to choose the correct template, as this will define the file type, the units, and other attributes. We want to start with a part file. Now, personally, most of my work is in metric units, so I mean millimeters, kilograms, etc. I will therefore choose a standard millimeter part template. However, if you want to draw in inches, imperial, then select the English folder here, and you'll be presented with the imperial options. Once you've chosen your template, click Create. Now we have opened a part file, let's take a quick look at the interface. In the center, we have the 3D environment. This is where we will be sketching and 3D modeling and is the main focus of part files. On the left, we have our design tree. This is where all of our sketches and features will be shown, and it enables us to edit these, which we'll be seeing later. And at the top, we have a series of tabs. The main two are Sketch and 3D Model. Under each tab is a series of tools relating to the tab title. We'll be using the core of these today to sketch and model our components. On the right-hand side, we have our viewing tools, and most importantly, the view cube, which we'll be also using today. Let's start by sketching and 3D modeling the bracket using these dimensions. First, we need to break the component down into features and sketch and 3D model these individually. We'll start with the base, then the vertical walls, then the extrusion holes, and finally, we'll add some radii to the sharp edges, and we'll also change the appearance and do a basic render. Now let's get started with the base of this bracket. So if we come up to 3D model, we've got the option there, Start 2D Sketch. Let's click that. And then you'll see we have three planes. We have the XY plane, the YZ plane, and the XZ plane. We need to choose one of these to sketch on. So for the base, let's go for the XZ plane. Let's click that. And then we come back up to our tabs. Come under Sketch, and you'll see a whole series of sketch tools here. We're going to start with the basics, which is the rectangle tool. Now we do have the option here for different types of rectangle tools. We've got slots and polygons as well. We're going to start with the absolute basic, which is a 2-point rectangle. Now let's come to the center where we have this yellow dot. Let's click on that and bring this out, and we can just click that so that we have a rectangle. Now we're still in the rectangle tool, so if we keep on clicking, we'll be creating more rectangles. What you can do if you are in the rectangle tool is just to right click and select OK, and there we have our rectangle. So to bring that to the center, we can double right click on the middle mouse button. We can zoom in and out with the mouse wheel. So we want to dimension this. So let's come up to the, again, under the Sketch tab, let's go into Dimension, and let's select this line here. We'll click, and then we'll see the dimension as per the drawing is 80 mil. Okay, it's looking good. Again, double click on the middle mouse button, zoom out a bit. We're still under the dimension tool. Let's click this line, put in the other dimension here, which again is 80 mil. And there we have our basic square. Right click, press OK. We want to put this circle in the center. All right, so we've got the circle tool here. Again, under the drop down, we've got different tools, but we'll start with a center point circle. So let's just click anywhere inside this square, open that up, and it's got a diameter of 30 millimeters. Press enter. Want to get out of that tool, so right click, press OK. But now this circle can move absolutely anywhere, which we don't want. We want that to be in a fixed position. So again, let's choose the dimension tool up here. Click that circle. Let's go for the top line. Let's put in the dimension, which in this case is 40 millimeters. All right, let's do exactly the same with this line here. Again, that's 40 millimeters. And now that's in the center. Right click, OK. And we know now that our sketch is fully constrained. The square can't move or the circle can't move, because if we look down here, we'll see it says fully constrained. So everything's fixed, everything's engineered well there. Now the next feature we need to add is this chamfer in the corner. So to do this, there are different ways, but for simplicity, we'll just come to the line tool. We're going to select the generic line, and we're going to snap to this line here, and we're just going to snap anywhere on this line like so. Right click, OK. Then we're going to click the dimension tool, click the end of this line, and let's go for the corner down here and input this dimension, which is 20 mil. We'll do the exact same process over here. Input this dimension, 20 mil. And there we have the profile that we need to extrude. So to do this, let's go on Finish. So we see Finish Sketch. We'll click that. Okay, again, double click on the middle mouse button, zoom out a little bit. And then we'll come over to 3D Model. You see we have a load of 3D Model tools here. Let's click on the most commonly used tool, which is Extrude. Okay, and we're going to extrude the profile which we want. We're going to come back to this toolbox in a second. If we move the mouse over this profile, this is the profile we want to extrude. Also got the option of this profile and this one as well. We don't want to extrude either of these. We only want this profile here. So we'll click that. Now let's look at this toolbox. So we've selected one profile, which is correct. Okay, and under behavior, we've got different directions. The default, we can choose the opposite direction. Okay, like so. We can choose symmetric. Okay, so that's extruding in both directions. And then asymmetrical, so we can extrude so much in one direction than the other. Let's just go with the default. All right, then put our distance in. So as per the drawing, this is 10, but you can change that if you like. I'm going to go with 10. I'm going to click OK. And there we have the sort of generic base feature there. I just want to show you the view cube quickly, which is over here. And if we left click and drag this, we can view it from all sorts of different angles. Okay, we can also click on the according faces or the arrows, so we can see everything from a different angle. All right, so that's the base feature done. Let's move on to the sidewalls. So for these sidewalls, nice and easy. First of all, we need to define the plane in which these sidewalls will extrude from. In this case, it's this plane here. So different ways of doing this, but what we can do is left click. We've got a series of options here to edit that feature, which we don't want to do. We do want to create a sketch on this plane though. So let's click create sketch. Okay, I'll use the middle mouse button, bring that back to center, and we'll see we're looking directly at the face we want to draw on. Let's come up again to the sketch tools, select the rectangle tool. I'm going to start from this corner here. We're going to bring this over and snap anywhere on this line here. Right click, OK. Select dimension, and let's dimension the distance between these two lines. So that's the thickness of the wall, which in this case is 10 millimeters. Okay, that's one wall. Right click, OK. Again, select the rectangle tool. Let's start from this corner and come up anywhere. Snap on this line here. Let's go dimension between these two lines here, and it's the same thickness of 10 mil. Okay, right click, OK. Let's now extrude these. So 3D model, extrude. We need to select the according profiles. So we want this profile. We also want this one and this one as well. Back to our box. So we've got our three profiles selected. It's the correct direction. We don't want to be extruding in the other direction. We want to bring these up by 40 millimeters. Okay, input 40, press enter. And there we have our sidewalls. Now we've got our sidewalls, we need to input a fillet on this edge here. And also if we look around the back on this edge here. Okay, so go back to the home view. Under 3D tools, so we've been using the extrusion tool. This time we're going to use the fillet tool. Let's select that. We've got our toolbox pop up. Now we need to select the edge that we want to fillet. Let's select this one. Okay, and as per the drawing, it's a 5mm fillet. Let's put 5 in, press enter. It's looking nice. Got a fillet on the back of 15mm. So let's take the view cube, turn this around, choose the fillet tool again, go to our input 15mm, select this edge there, press OK. Let's click on the home button. And there we have our 2 fillets and our 2 sidewalls. That's looking good. Now let's go ahead and add the extrusion holes to these 2 faces here. We're going to be using quite a lot of tools that we've learned already, but this time instead of adding material, we're going to be removing. So let's start by left clicking on the plane we want to draw on. We'll create a sketch, bring that to the center, go up to the sketch tab, kind of select a circle. We can draw that anywhere on this face. We're going to diameter that 15mm as per the drawing, right click, OK. Want to dimension this, so I'll select the circle and the top line. Let's dimension that. That's 20. Okay, and then exactly the same from this line here, which is 35. Okay, now if we look here, we're fully constrained. That's all good. Let's press Finish Sketch. Okay, so we've got our geometry there and our profile in the center. Let's go on 3D Model, and then we'll select the Extrude tool. But in the tools box here, we've got our profile already selected. Great. But this time here, we want to flip the direction. Now, what you'll notice here, if I rotate the model, it's actually cutting material. And we know that as well because down here on the output is to cut. So actually removing material as opposed to joining or adding material. Okay, so if we click OK, we've now got our through hole there. Let's do exactly the same on this face here. So we'll left click, create a sketch, then the center, circle, 15mm, dimension, circle to line, 20, circle to this vertical line, 35, right click, OK, finish, go on 3D model, we'll extrude that again, and this time, yeah, we can either select change the direction, so automatic cut, or we can just select cut. We'll recognize to remove material there, click OK. Home screen, and there we are. We have our 2 holes there. Now in the final stages of this part, let's go ahead and add some radii to these sharp edges that we see here. Let's also change the material, the appearance, and we'll do a basic render. So let's start with the radii, and we'll go up to 3D model tool, and we'll select fillet. Okay, now on this, I recommend putting in a 1mm fillet, and we just want to select certain edges. Now, there are different tools that we can use to select. So we can select individual edges, or we can select loops. So a loop would be, like we see here, it's like looping where that edge kind of leads to, and would radii all of that. For simplicity, I prefer just to select individual edges. So I'll select this one here, this one, these guys. Let's also do the holes. Okay, so we see a preview there. Those are all the edges that I want to select, and we'll press OK. All right, so we got rid of those sharp like inner edges. That looks good. Now let's go ahead and change the material. So for this, we go up to the very top here, and we've got our material selection. So let's open this up. I'm going to apply, but it's up to you. You can choose what you like. I'm going to apply a stainless steel. We see a nice sort of visual appearance there. In terms of color, again, up to you. Go for sky blue dark. Looks quite nice. Then let's go into view, visual style, and let's do a very, very basic rendering of this. So in the view tab up here under visual style, we can select like without edges. So we just see it shaded. Obviously with the edges, various other options here. We can see a wireframe assembly and so forth. You can play around with these. For a basic render, let's go to realistic, and then let's change the lighting as well. So typically we're on default IBL. For this, I'm going to choose photo booth, then click on ray tracing. And we'll see down here we've got different options. Depends on your computer hardware. I recommend going for a low quality ray tracing, otherwise it's quite demanding on the hardware. As you can see, that's already complete, and we've got there, yeah, quite a sophisticated looking model. Okay, if you want to come out of the rendering, again, we just click ray tracing there, and we're back to the standard appearance. We can put some edges on that. Okay, so that's it for the bracket. Now let's move on to the bolt. So let's come to the home screen. Now the quick way to do this is to come up to the top and just select home. Okay, now we're going to go on new. We're going to come under part again and select the same template. So in this case, standard mill for me. Click create. Now we're in the part file. Now the bolt's quite straightforward. I'm going to start with the threaded part. So the same process. Let's come into 3D model and go to start 2D sketch. Got our planes again. Let's choose the XZ plane once again. In this case, we'll come up to sketch. We're going to start with a circle. Start right in the center. That yellow dot is called the origin. I'm going to put in the diameter of the threaded part. So the shank is 15 mil. It's okay. Right click. Okay. Finish. Come into 3D model. Extrude that part. We're going to extrude that by the full length, which is 30. Okay. Double click middle mouse button. Now I want to add that chamfer to the bottom side here. So this is a new tool. We've used fillet already. Now the tool next to it is chamfer. So let's click that. Now this chamfer is 2 mil. Okay, so 2 mil by 2 mil. So we've got 2 mil selected already, which is great. I'm going to click this edge here. Let's apply to 2 mil. Click apply. Okay. Now if we look around there, we can use the view cube. Yeah, that's looking good. Now we want to create the head. So let's select this plane here. That's the plane we want to draw on. We'll go and create sketch. Okay, use the circle tool again. Start from the origin once again. The outer diameter is 25 mil. Press OK. Right click OK. Finish sketch. 3D model. Let's extrude that. Not by that much. Let's extrude that by 5 mil in total as per the drawing. Got a chamfer on there again. Another 2 mil chamfer. That's on this edge here. Press apply. Okay, that's looking good. Now we want to add a thread to the threaded portion here. So right next to chamfer, we've got the thread tool under 3D model. So we'll select thread. We got our toolbox here. So it's asking what face do we want to apply a thread to. This is the face here. We'll click here. And then we need to define the thread. So anti-metric, typically isometric. The size, so the diameter, so M15 in this case, and the thread as well, which is 1.5 mil. Direction, we can go left or to go right. Okay, behavior, we can do the full length, or we can add just a shank there followed by the thread. So we can select 20, press OK. And there we've got our visual thread. Now we just need to add the hex key on the top. So we'd left click there, create a sketch. Now we've used the rectangle tool before, and if we click on the drop down, we've then got polygon option. You can choose the number of sides. In this case, we're going for a hex, so 6 sides. Select the origin once again, and I'm just gonna, I'll just draw it this big. It's no issues. Press done. Apply dimension. So yeah, the flat to the flat. And that is a total of 10 mil. Press OK. Let's go finish sketch. Looking good. Let's go 3D model. We want to remove material there. So we don't want to use this type of extrude. We want to flip that. Okay, and that's got a depth of 5 mil. So it's OK. And there we have our hex key right there. Okay, let's go ahead and apply material to this. I'm just going to go for stainless steel. Looking good. Okay, let's save the part and let's move on to the assembly. So to create an assembly, we're still in a part file. We need to exit this. We need to go back to the home. So in the top left here, we've got the home icon. Let's click that. And then we'll go on new again. So we're going to open up a new template. But this time, instead of a part template, we're going to open up an assembly template. So again, I'm coming under metric. I'm going to select the standard millimeters template here. Okay, we're going to see here it's an assembly, uses millimeters. I'm going to click create. And now we're in the assembly file. Okay, so in terms of user face here, again, in the center, like the main focus, we've got the 3D environment. The left-hand side, we don't have a design tree as such. It's more of like a parts tree. So it lists all our parts, the relationships between them, any constraints that we give them, which we'll be doing later. And at the very top, we've got a whole series of tabs and options for us there. But again, today we're just focusing on the absolute basics. So we want to place our existing parts in here, which you've saved already. So we're going to come up under the Assembly tab. We're going to click Place. Okay, and then just locate the parts that you've made. Okay, so I'll insert bracket. Okay, now if I zoom out, you'll see a bracket will be inserted, and then I've got the option to insert as many of these as I need, but we only need one of them, of course, so press Ctrl Z if you accidentally click any more. So we put our bracket in, fantastic. Now let's put our bolts in. So again, place, find the location of your bolts. Okay, click OK. And then we want to have 2 of these, right? Now, in terms of inserting these, we have a few options before we click. We can actually rotate these around the according axis. Okay, so if we right click, we can actually rotate around the Y, the X, or the Z. In this case, I want to rotate around the X axis. Okay, so this bolt's going to sit somewhere here. I'm just going to throw it over there for the time being. And then this one here, I'm going to rotate around the Z. Okay, and that's going to sit like somewhere there. So I'm just going to throw that in there. Once we're done, we right click OK. And now you'll see that we can move these 2 parts, but we cannot move the bracket. That's because it's the first part that we entered, and so it's fixed in position. And we know that because in the parts tree, where we see our 3 parts here, okay, so in this case, the bracket, I've called part 5, and then part 6 are the 2 bolts. Next to these, we can see a black dot. Okay, that means it's fixed, and then a white dot. And that means that it's not fixed, it's not sort of fully constrained, and it's still mobile. So what we need to do now is position these in the according, so this one in this hole, this one and this one here. We want to have these like fully constrained and fully fixed. So to do this, we use what we call constrains. Okay, so if we select constrain, we've then got a toolbox pop up where we need to select 2 faces and then give those a relationship. So the default relationship is mate, which is the most common one we use. Let's go with that first. So the very first our first selection, okay, is going to be the axis of this bolt here. So we hover our mouse over and we'll see that Inventor recognizes that we want to select the axis, which is correct. So I click there. All right, and then under selection 2, okay, we're then going to select the axis of this hole here. All right, we don't want to select any of these faces. We just want the axis there. Let's click there. All right, let's click OK. Let's have a look at this. So now you see that the axes are constrained. They are concentric with one another, but we've still got all this movement, which we want to fix that permanently. So we rotate the model. So I do this on the keyboard with Shift and then middle mouse button. You can use the view cube. Okay, so let's go on the constraint tool again. Rotate that model and let's select the flat of the bolt. Okay, and then select the flat of this face here. Okay, and now we'll see that that bolt is sitting comfortably in that hole. All right, we can't move it in or out or up and down. It's fixed in there. However, we can still rotate it like as you're seeing here. So let's put a constraint on that. Now this time it's not a mate constraint. This time we're going to input an angle constraint. So we select that. And this here, the different solutions. So a direct angle, undirected, an explicit reference vector. In this case, most common, most basic is direct angle. Just going to select any one of those flats. Then I'm going to select this face here. You'll see the angle is 0 degrees. So that face to that face is, well, it's parallel essentially. But we could input an angle there if we want, like 25 or let's go 45. Okay, I'm going to stick with 0. It's okay. That's looking good. And now if we look at our parts tree, we'll see that part 6, which is this bolt here highlighted, now we've got a black dot next to it. So it's now fixed. It's unable to move at all. Let's do the exact same process for this bolt here. So again, constrain, select the axis of the bolt, select the axis of the hole. Okay, yeah, fantastic. All right, let's move that out. Constrain. I'm going to select this face first and the flat of the bolt. Okay. Okay, that's nicely fixed there. I'm going to put the edges on. So view, visual style with edges. You can see that a bit more clearly there. Still rotating. Let's put in that angular constraint. Let's go to assemble, constrain, angle. Let's go direct. Select any flat. Select the top. It's okay. Click on the home view. And now we see all three parts have a black dot next to them. And that is our assembly complete. So from here, what we can do is a nice render if you want to use this, I know, in a presentation or you're doing any marketing content, you want to show it off to your boss. Click View, Visual Style, Realistic. I like to use Photo Booth personally. I think they give nice lighting for rendering. And going to go on Ray Tracing. Okay, just give that a while to load. Again, I'm going with a low quality ray trace. And that is our rendering complete. That's looking pretty nice. Yeah, good job, everybody. Just before we finish, I want to quickly cover the parts tree and what we can do in terms of editing. So if we come under here, under this folder, relationships, we open this up, we can actually see a list here of all of the constraints that we've applied. And we can modify or edit these, can delete them, etc. So you want to have a play around with those. You can select the edit and adjust them accordingly. Also the origin, so this shows you the three planes. You can use these in assembly files or in part files as well. So they'll show you the three default planes and also the three axis and the center point, or the origin as I call it. And then we've got the individual parts here. So yeah, you can right click and delete these. You can also open them up and you can see the constraints that have been applied specifically to that part. So in terms of modification, we always come back to the design tree. And it's exactly the same in a part file. So if I come back into the file of the bolt, we can see here that we have the origin. So we're seeing the three original planes and also the axis origin. We can then also see all of the features. And if we open up each feature, we can see the sketches. And we can modify any of this at any time by right-clicking to edit sketch. Or if we do this on a feature, we can edit the feature. Okay, we've also got the end of part. So for example, I can move this, we kind of go back in time. And so we can go to specific parts in our model and just take a look at what we were doing there. If you have any questions about the topics we've covered today, please post them in the comments section and I will respond as soon as possible. I hope you found this session valuable and that it has enhanced your skill set in Autodesk Inventor. This YouTube channel offers many other tutorials, so please feel free to explore those as well. And if you could like and subscribe, it would greatly support the channel. Wishing you all the best of luck with your endeavors, and I'll see you later. Thank you.